All right, so usually I start off the show by screaming like very, very, very loud, but I'm not going to do that today because I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm not in the mood, but not today. Maybe tomorrow. So my name is Michael DeLue, and I'm going to be your host today for Pull Up the Tape. So before I get into any of the politics of today's show, which is going to be a very, very, very good show, I would like to ask that if you're listening to this podcast via any of the platforms that I stream my podcast on, such as Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, do me a favor, share this podcast with anybody you know that loves sports. That would be tremendous help to me and everything that I have going on. So I would really appreciate if you did that. Anybody you know that loves sports, your mom, your dad, your coach, your teammate, the water boy, the equipment manager, anybody you know that loves sports. And if you're listening to this podcast via my YouTube channel, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It helps me tremendously. And also hit the bell notification, let you know every single time that I upload a video. I got more content coming on the way, more hot stuff. I'm working on behind the scenes so to deliver the best possible product I can to all my sports fans who love watching what I do. It's not many of you right now, as of now, but you know, I got some stuff in the work to increase the audience and the community that we got going on. So one of the first things I want to get into today is the NCAA season. All right, so yesterday it was announced at around around 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 1 o'clock over there, that the Big Ten was going to be canceling their season. Well, not canceling, postponing their season until the spring. And then a couple hours later, the Pac-12 announced that they were doing the same. And some of my initial thoughts on all this stuff is just it's comical because how do I say this nicely? First of all, this is the nicest way I could possibly say this. The NCAA is a joke. Like, NCAA has been a joke for like the past 20 years, but now especially after what I witnessed occur in the past like 3 months with their structure and the leadership and the people who are at the forefront of the NCAA, it just makes me laugh. Like they look like clowns. There's no leadership whatsoever. Like it doesn't make sense for a $1 billion organization like the NCAA to not have one concise voice or one governing body that makes its decisions and decides on what's best for the NCAA moving forward. There's not one person. You want to know why? Those decisions are left to the commissioners of these conferences. So the commissioner of the Pac-12 has the final say over what happens in the Pac-12, along with the presidents of each of these universities, and so on and so forth. So what one conference decides to do, another one can completely just decide, we're not ready to do that, which is what happened in this situation, where you have some schools like the SEC just nailing down and saying we're playing regardless of what happens, regardless of school being in session or not, we're playing. While other schools like the Big Ten are being more practical because the Big Ten, I don't know, some of the presidents of those universities in that conference have histories as well as had careers within the medical field and understand that maybe it's not the best time to be playing, of all sports, tackle football in the midst of a pandemic. Like I don't know, are we blind? Have people not seen what happened in the MLB? How just player after player was coming down with the virus and then player after player was opting out? No concise direction with any testing, with testing or eligibility. Players. You've seen this weekend players like Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, as well as other big time stars within the NCAA, coming out on Twitter and saying, "We want to play. We want to play. Hashtag we want to play." But they're not ready to play or willing to play if there's no clear understanding or protocol when it comes to testing and eligibility. You got fifth-year seniors who this is their last chance to impress scouts and stuff like that. Okay, what am I going to do about my eligibility? You got players who are concerned about their safety, where it's like, okay, I want to play, but are we getting tested every day? Like, what exactly is the NCAA going to do to protect us as players so we don't contract this virus? Or what are you going to do when somebody you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like everybody wanted to be so just ignorant to the fact that, you know, we're in the midst of a pandemic and certain things need to take place before you resume any sort of, especially a sport like football where it's contact sport. In order for the play to be dead, it has to be contact from one player to another. So social distancing goes out the door. That's gone. How are you going to protect these players given the nature of the game? The NCAA had no answer for that. Had no answer for eligibility. You got players all over the country claiming their coaches aren't taking COVID seriously. You got players complaining we haven't gotten tested in X amount of days. One specific story that I want to bring up. I feel like I've said it before. I might have said it in an episode I didn't release, but a first round projected safety. I think he was playing for Virginia or Virginia Tech. Complained to a journalist that some of his teammates went to Myrtle Beach, probably 15 of them went to Myrtle Beach, were partying with some females, getting jiggy. You know, that's what college students do. And he's seeing all this on Snapchat as these dudes are partying out at a lake, beach, whatever, messing around with some Jones, and they come right back to the campus when they're done, don't get tested or anything, or just and then are just thrown, assimilated into the team. And he's just looking like, and he asked these dudes, "Did you guys get tested?" They're like, "Nah, they told us we're good. We didn't need to." But anybody with common sense could see that's a horrible way to handle a situation and go about a situation like that. First of all, why are you even letting your players leave to go to a beach that's about an hour away from your campus to party? What sense does that make? There's no sense in that at all whatsoever, like 0 sense. Another one, you got the head coach of Nebraska saying, with or without the Big Ten, we're gonna find a way to play. Huh? What's that? Where are you gonna play? What conference are you gonna play in? What games are you gonna schedule? What do you mean? What would possess someone to come out and say something like that? If the conference says there's no football happening, who are you to say that? Oh, we're still gonna find a way to play. Like, where are you gonna play? How? Explain to me. Explain that to me. That doesn't really make sense to me. You got Notre Dame, who's going to be eligible to play in the ACC. Like they don't want to be in. Like the commissioners can't get it together. The presidents can't get it together. It just doesn't really make much sense. Mark Emmert, who's the president of the NCAA, he's a clown too. He's a clown. Has shown no sort of leadership in this when it comes to the situation. Barely makes any public statements. Doesn't do anything resourceful or useful. Like, what do you get paid millions of dollars to do? What have you done productive in the past 3 months? And the thing is, the NCAA and the NFL had the most time to come up with the right protocols, the necessary adjustments. They could have had meeting on top of meeting on top of meeting, because at the point in which COVID happened, NCAA season was over, and the NFL season had just concluded, and they had just started their new calendar year with the combine. There is no combine for college, okay? College football, they could have, man. I'm not surprised, and honestly, I never thought college football was going to happen anyways, because how the hell are you going to ask players to play and make their universities millions of dollars in the midst of a pandemic, ask them to take the risk of getting possibly infected because they're playing a contact sport, and expect it for free? No, that was never going to happen. Like, if any, I'm not surprised that eventually the players came to their senses and was just like, that's not happening. That's not happening right now. 1 second. And said that that's not happening. But, like, obviously, look, players since I don't know when have already felt that they're being cheated and that they're free labor and X, Y, and Z. But it's just like now, I mean, players already made so much money for their universities, and they didn't see anything, and they were struggling while they're in school, especially. So now to think that they're going to be asked to do the same thing in the midst of a pandemic and not receive any money, that was honestly ludicrous. Like there's no way that was going to happen. There's no way that was going to happen. I just logically didn't see that ever happening. Like that realistically doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I knew for a fact, okay, even if they were able to come to some sort of terms with the testing and the eligibility, if players weren't going to get any money out of this, they weren't going to do it. It just wasn't going to happen. Simple as that. And I mean, it's being postponed until the spring, but I don't even know how that's going to happen. Honestly, I don't know. And I just got to update that see, this is exactly what I mean by there's no that just doesn't make any sense. The ACC and SEC still plan on playing. Says their plans are unchanged. League previously announced 11-game football season and 10-game conference-only schedule, respectively. See, this is why I say the NCAA is a joke. You got teams who runs the SEC and the ACC? Clowns. How are two out of the five Power 5 conferences backing out, and you guys are still saying you're gonna compete? This doesn't make any sense. What's the point of this? It just goes to show how crooked and ridiculous that the NCAA is. Not many people pay attention to this, but obviously athletes and people my age who I know people who play college sports and whatever, and they just have nothing good to say about the NCAA. They exploit children, exploit minority children actually for free labor. I mean, you can say what you want, blah blah blah. That they're getting a free education or they choose to play. I mean, yeah, you choose to play football, but I mean, in high school you also chose to play football too. But I mean, your school wasn't making X amount of money off you to where it's like, damn, I should be seeing some of that, like as opposed to college, where millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars is being made from the likeness of these kids, and they're not seeing a dime out of it. But I digress. The NCAA is going to get what they deserve. They're clowns. Everybody, all the like in the future, I think one person or there should be a governing body that controls and makes the final decisions on what happens in each of these conferences, because it just looks stupid to not have Pac-12 football, not have Big Ten football, but there's ACC football, SEC football. There's what's the other conference? ACC. Oh, the Big 12 hasn't decided anything either, so we're gonna see about that. So, I guess that's kind of good news for the NFL because that opens up primetime spots on Saturday. Who knows what teams could be playing on Saturday on ESPN or something like that? Who knows? Maybe those slots will get picked up. That actually works in favor for the NFL, like as in they could schedule more games and just different matchups and stuff like that. There's gonna be a lot more Saturday night football, I guess. So probably gonna be football every day except for Tuesday and Wednesday, because Monday night, Thursday night. It could be Friday night football, Saturday night football, and obviously Sunday is football day. So we'll see how that works out. So one of the things I want to get into is the NBA. So the seeding games are dwindling down, and I just want to talk about several teams. Okay, but before I talk about what I want to talk about, I just want to point out that honestly, this whole situation with so the Phoenix Suns have won 7 straight games. Their game against the Sixers just concluded, but to the 8th seed. All right. So initially, when we first started when the restart first happened, the teams that were looking at to make the 8th seed were the Pelicans, the Blazers, and the Grizzlies. So a couple of days ago, the Pelicans were eliminated. And they played terrible, but Pelicans didn't really look the best since the restart happened. Not as good as the next two teams, which are the Blazers and the Suns. The Suns, who haven't lost a game even won yesterday, beating the Sixers by 9, improved to 7-0, and the Grizzlies lost to the Celtics, and it's just every single day it's like it just so many different things happen over, like teams beat teams that that are for sure better than them. Like for example, the Nets beat the Bucks. I don't know when. Just recently. It's just like every team has a bad loss on their resume. Every team has good wins on their resume. It's just like, honestly, there's so much uncertainty now to where, honestly, I can't give a definitive onto who I think is going to win the championship anymore. It just so many different things can happen. There's players stepping up. Like, TJ Warren's been averaging 30 since the bubble restarted and had a 50 burger like the first or second game against the Sixers. The Nets have not the Nets. The Suns haven't lost the game. They're 7-0 in the bubble. You play 8 games in the bubble. The Nets are not the Nets. I keep saying the Nets. The Suns are 7-0, and Devin Booker's averaging almost 30. Dame is playing lights out. So I honestly think if a play-in does happen between the Suns and the Blazers will get it, because I don't see the Grizzlies making the playoffs or holding on to that spot, and they don't have Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson tore his meniscus, so I don't see them making it without him. I don't see them winning any game against the Suns or the Blazers without that dude. Like, he's an intricate part of their team and what they do on offense as well as defensively. He could switch, he could switch, shoot threes, post up, play good D, defend the pick and roll. Like, he can do a lot of things, and he's a young player. But without that dude, I don't see them making it to playoffs or even doing anything in the playoffs. If in a slim event that they actually did make the playoffs, which, you can quote me on this one, they won't. They had a 3.5 game lead over the rest of the pack and lost it in a matter of a week. Come on now. Oh, actually, yeah, anyways. But I actually do want to give the NBA a salute, because, after seeing the just dysfunctional just nature of the other sports leagues in this country, the NBA deserves a round of applause for the way they've handled the situation. What people don't understand with resuming sports in the midst of a pandemic is there has to be sacrifice on both sides. Okay? Which, if you're not willing to do and sacrifice and compromise with your players, it doesn't make sense for you to even sacrificing it. It doesn't make sense for you to even try to carry on any sort of negotiations or any of that nonsense. If you're not willing to sacrifice and compromise with your players, okay, you can't leave. You have to be in this bubble while the NBA has to cough up all the money to continue to do these testings and follow a specific protocol, and certain things have to, people have to be held accountable. People have to be responsible. If you're not willing to do these things, and like a lot of medical experts have stated, if you are not willing to do something replicate something like a bubble, there's no point in even trying. I'm gonna go back to the NFL real quick. I'm gonna backtrack. They're gonna start this NFL season, but I don't think they're gonna finish it. I just literally, you see what's happening in baseball. You all see what happened in baseball. Baseball has nowhere near the size of what the NFL teams have. Imagine if one person in the NFL locker room catches COVID. That's 10 to 15 people that could get infected within a matter of days. I do think the NFL season is going to start a month from today. Don't see it finishing. Don't see them crowning a champion. Probably maybe a month, 2 months tops till they cancel everything. And then, can't say I didn't say so. But to get into my next topic, no, actually not to get into my next topic. To jump back to the NBA, can't wait till these seeding games are done. There's only 2 more left. So that should be done before the end of the week. We'll figure out who's going to get the 8th seed, and then the playoffs are going to be starting in 5 days. Playoffs start in 5 days, so I'm really excited about that. Can't wait to get into those shenanigans. But again, like I said, I can't wait because, oh man, like we've been waiting for this for a long time. So it's gonna be really exciting to see that happen and like all these players get in and on. I haven't seen Brown in the playoffs in 2 years, so I'm really stoked about that. I'm hoping my Lakers can still win it. I'm not sure. It's gonna be a tough one. So to get into my last topic of today, because the game is about to start in a couple minutes. So I want to get into Champions League football as Atalanta are playing PSG today. So before I get into the preview and breakdown of that matchup, it's important to note that one side of the bracket, the side of the bracket that PSG is playing on, so it's PSG, Atalanta, RB Leipzig, and Atletico Madrid. None of these teams have ever won the Champions League, and they could win it. Okay, so, and it's important to note that after Bayern and Barca, which I feel like are the favorites right now, Bayern more so than Barca, but Barca's probably like actually, I think Bayern, Man City, and Barcelona, I think, would be like the favorites to win this. I haven't checked the odds, but once Bayern and Barca play each other, the three out of the four teams that remain that make the semifinal, none of them will have won the Champions League. So there's a very, very good chance that a team that has never won it in the history of their club could win it this year. So Atlanta's playing PSG in a couple hours. PSG is probably one of the most honestly disappointing Champions League teams in the past 10 years. Their match against Atalanta, who finished in the Serie A third, and they're one of the most exciting teams in Europe. This season, they finished with their best total points ever with 78, and they scored a league-high 98 goals. So PSG is here after defeating Dortmund on aggregate 3-2, and Atalanta is here after defeating Valencia on aggregate 8-4. So Atalanta plays a very good, compact, attacking football. And I do like their chances against PSG, especially because we're not too sure exactly if Kylian Mbappe is going to play, or even if he does play, if he's going to be 100%. And let me tell you, let me say straight up right now, if he actually plays, I don't see Atalanta having a chance. I play against this dude every single day in FIFA. And when I tell you this dude is, obviously FIFA is based on the real game, the real life. When I tell you this dude is close to unstoppable in this game, he's too fast and just too skilled to be stopped, especially on the counter. But anyways, I because there's doubt on Mbappe as he picked up a very, very nasty ankle injury, because there's doubt on whether he's going to be able to play both legs of the quarterfinal, kind of makes me lean towards Atalanta, because I feel like if they have him, he just puts them over the top, and if they have him, they go straight. If they have him, they're going straight to the finals. Because I don't see I don't know, because they're very good at they're what I would personify as choke artists. Last year they lost to Man United. The year before that they lost to Madrid. The year before that they lost to, I don't know. It's either they don't make it out of the round of 16 or they don't make it past the quarterfinals. They haven't been to a semifinal. I don't think they've ever been to a semifinal, to be honest. And I want to say this year gives me reason to think otherwise, because they're a very good team. But at the same time, I understand, when things do get rough and the game gets tight and compact, and defenses can press them high and disrupt what they have going on within their midfield, they're not the best team in the world, or but again, they do have a lot of high quality players that a lot of clubs wish they could have. Somebody like Neymar, Mbappe, Angel Di Maria, even though he's not a shade of what he used to be at Real Madrid, Mauro Icardi, Idrissa Gueye, Marco Verratti. They have a lot of really good players. If Mbappe is able to play, if Mbappe doesn't play, I still have them barely beating Atalanta. If he does, I do see them beating them and making it past I think they'll go to the finals if they have a healthy Mbappe and they're firing on all cylinders. I see them making to the finals. If they don't have Mbappe, I honestly still pick them barely winning, and I think it's going to be a very, very interesting match. And I fancy it. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to happen actually in a couple minutes. So I'm really looking forward to that. Tomorrow I'll react to this game as well as the match that's happening tomorrow. I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but just really excited to finally get this going. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. My name is Michael DeLu. You were just tuned in to Pull Up the Tape. Before I let you go, I want to ask that and urge you guys to share this podcast with anybody you know that loves sports. I got a lot of changes coming, to better up the product of the podcast and everything we got going on. Share this podcast with anybody you know that loves sports, football, basketball, soccer, MMA, whatever it is, if they love it, share this with them. And then also, if you're watching this podcast on my YouTube channel, do me a favor. Like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification if you already haven't. Bow, movie. Let's get it.